We're live. We are live right now. Chase, BYU takes down VCU. They move on to the round of 32 for the first time since 2011. Their first tournament win since 2012. It's been forever since we've seen BYU win in this thing. Cougars move on past VCU and honestly left no doubt. Once they went up 10 in the first half, once they took that lead to close the first half, they never truly let VCU back in this thing. Chase, initial thoughts from today's game?
Initial thoughts, I was just so happy with BYU's performance, just their demeanor, their attitude, the way that they responded to adversity, the way they handled, honestly, one of VCU's best shooting games of the season. And it really wasn't even a big problem, winning by 9, but it really felt like more, like you said. I'm just really proud of this BYU team with all the narrative stigma. A lot of people have been picked against them, all this stuff. They played their game today. And I think that was most important, where they just did what they do best. They ran the pick and roll. They played, for the most part, solid defense. They got inside. They didn't even shoot an insane amount of threes. And one of the things we like about this BYU team is how adaptable they are. And the message was obvious and clear. We talked about it a lot in the preview. And the coaching staff obviously had the message, get to the paint, be aggressive. They were the aggressors tonight. They out-physicaled, out-rebounded. They dictated the game, which is impressive and also important, and also just what you love to see, because they got VCU in foul trouble, both halves. They were aggressive going to the paint, and VCU just couldn't hang. At the end of the point, it was talent disparity. It was a physicality and athletic disparity. And BYU did what they were supposed to do. They weren't blinded by the moment.
And also on top of that, it kind of goes back to what we talked about in the preview, was a lot of the team's success in this game was getting to the basket and causing fouls. I feel like this is the first time in a minute where you see BYU had a big foul discrepancy and was getting to the free throw line much more than their opponent. And that was the difference in this game, was them continuously getting to the basket. And also this game, look, let's start off here. Jagor Demon was, shout out Nolan Mickelson, Jagor the difference. He was absolutely the difference in this game. Him coming out of the gates, knocking down those 2 threes, having that layup, the scoring performance he had tonight, when he's on like that, BYU is near unbeatable to some of these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about it a lot in our preview. VCU's vulnerable to guards getting in the paint and doing stuff, and Jagor scored really from all 3 levels today. I think all his shots were smart. They were timely. They were, I mean, he shot a really good percentage, missed a couple threes there, but got into the paint, hit layups. Like, that's just what we've been waiting to see from him in kind of these bigger games. And I think this is where you saw just how beneficial it is playing in the Big 12, how beneficial it is playing teams like Houston and Iowa State and Kansas and West Virginia that like to get up in your grill, is BYU handled that masterfully. Masterfully today. There was a couple times, right, a few turnovers, but that's just basketball. The pressure from VCU was not a problem for any of these guys. I mean, their press, there wasn't a single turnover in their side of the half court, and BYU was able to get to the basket because of it, because they were overextended, and Jagor was the leader of that pack. He handled it beautifully, and you could just see, and I don't want to give credit to VCU, really good coach, really good team, really good season, obviously A-10 champs. But at the end of the day, BYU was like, we just played Houston.
Yeah.
We just played in the Big 12 tournament. Like, we can handle whatever you're trying to do to us physically. You have nothing on those guys.
And I know hindsight's always 20/20, but when we were talking about going into the Big 12 tournament, we go 1-1 would be very ideal. Winning that Iowa State game and then losing in the next round would be ideal. You get out, you get a ton of rest. It looks like that might have helped a lot. And honestly, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world for this team to have gone into this tournament, losing a game, coming off a loss in that spot. And especially we were a little worried after the Houston game. We go, the way it happened was a little concerning, because man, BYU got punked. Like, I didn't think that was this BYU team anymore. And then coming into this game, you could tell they were pissed off. They were ready to go. And it wasn't like the Utah game where they were timid or anything. They were played loose today, which I was surprised by.
Yeah, and it showed. Like, that's why you get fouled. It's because all these body checks, because you're being aggressive. They push the ball in transition almost every play, even off of makes. They're like, let's get down there. Let's put pressure on them on the inside. I thought across the board, I was really impressed with everyone. I thought Kaba played really well defensively. Obviously had 4 just monster blocks, rebounded incredibly well. Foose was a beast down low, getting crucial buckets when they needed it. Jagor, obviously. Richie continues to do Richie things. I mean, he went 1 for 6. He still scored 16 points. And that's just how the kind of player he is now. I thought Trevor Nell had big buckets. Dawson Baker gave valuable minutes. Trey Stewart does his thing. Dallin Hall, again, just being that super calm force in there. You just never feel bad about either point guard out there. And they offer so many different things. And at the end of the day, if you're VCU, right, I think you're probably pretty happy with BYU's 3-point performance. But to the strength of this team is that they can do it in so many ways. And today it was going inside.
It was going inside, that's for sure. And then going into tomorrow, that's going to be the same thing. Tomorrow it's total. I don't know. I can look on the live. What do you think the line is for tomorrow?
It's going to be high. I mean, these teams both like to score. I'm going to guess 100 to 149.5.
I'm going to go 153.5. I'm going to go Wisconsin's favored by 1.5.
Yeah, I think Wisconsin 1 to 2.5 for sure. Favored in that game.
I'll get that. And that's on Saturday. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, Saturday. We'll do a little bit.
No, we almost got it. Wisconsin favored by 1.5. Over under 154.5.
Nice. You're pretty spot on.
Yeah, we know ball.
We do know ball.
And going into this preview for this game, look, we looked at the blueprint for this game. It goes BYU has to get to the basket. They have to continue to drive. And because VCU, after watching their tape watching a lot of their tape, the thing that consistently killed them was guards getting to the basket and driving on them. Donovan Dent from New Mexico had 40 points against this team. He shot 4 total threes, and a lot of his points weren't even from free throws. They were all just driving, getting downhill, and getting to the basket, and we saw that today. You talk about Richie Saunders before we hit the record button. You go, how many points do you think Richie had? Like, I don't think he had much of an in-your-face game. Still had 16 points, and they all came from continuously driving to the basket. And it's not even just the amount of points he scored. It's what it does to that defense when he's able to drive into the basket because he's creating fouls. I feel like there were so many foul calls created just from Richie being aggressive.
Yeah, 100%. The whole team as a whole.
Yeah, 100%.
It was way good. And to my point, like I said before, we were both saying, like, against Houston, you're getting body check left and right. Big 12 refs are used to it. They're not calling that. It wasn't going to happen today against VCU. It was like you fouled or you're getting past this guy because they're just way overextended here. But you can tell that was VCU's game plan, right? They watched the film. They're like, we got to put pressure on BYU. But they just didn't have the athletes to keep up at the end of the day. So, honestly, a huge win from BYU. I know it's like they were favored. They were supposed to
only
win
by
this,
2.5
the
and
higher seed.
Yeah,
they're 6-11, whatever. This is huge in program building wins. It's not going to be one that we look back on and is like, wow, it was amazing. It was just a first round, but it is one that we'll look back on and be like, that was a turning point, I think, in the program of BYU and their history.
On top of that, I also think, that was my big thing going into this game when people are like, oh, well, look at BYU's tournament past. They haven't done this. The past is so irrelevant for BYU now because this is totally a different era of BYU hoops at this point. And on top of that, this takes a ton of pressure off Kevin Young going into next season with AJ coming in and everything. Because let's say next season doesn't match expectations. People are going to go, well, Kevin Young and this coaching staff clearly can do it. Maybe it's just a one-off season or whatever. I think it takes a ton of pressure off for next season just by winning this one game. Look, right now, season's massive success. I think it's a home run season already to this point. Let's make it a grand slam. Move on. Go to the Sweet 16. Make a very, very special run. Look, maybe we'll talk about this Wisconsin game later on, but it's a very winnable game. Wisconsin, there's a reason the spread's only 1.5. It's a very, very, very winnable game. So this team could do something special in this tournament, man.
They can.
You can start getting some dangerous ideas after your team wins one game.
Exactly. And to your point, BYU's just playing with house money now. They did what they needed to do.
Yeah.
They got the monkey off their back. They broke the stigma. BYU actually can win in March, any of these games at any given moment. And, man, they're going to have a real shot Saturday. So just having fun with it now. I think for most BYU fans, y'all were stressed a little bit about what was going on here. We're getting a live update. BYU moving on. Everyone was just like, we just need to win this just to get it off our back and prove that we can. They did it. They just had the best season they've had in 14 years. And It's not crazy to say that at all.
The preseason the coolest part is the preseason hype was so warranted.
Absolutely. You and me specifically, we're all over it. And
our prediction can't come true if they win on Saturday. We'll find out.
We're not going to jinx it. We're not going to say anything.
Let's get to the chat.
Let's get to the chat. Shout out to everyone in the chat right now. I know y'all are enjoying this as much as we are. We've got a lot of people. First off, shout out Moose. Says Kaba is a freaking beast. Couldn't agree more. Kaba played awesome today.
Unbelievable. He sets the tone every single game.
Absolutely. The stuff he does on defense is just it's so important for this team. Alex Beach says, we hadn't won a round of 64 games since I was 12, and I have a kid now. Let's freaking go.
Maybe your kid's a good luck charm.
Yeah, maybe. Keep the kids coming, Alex. Alex Holmes, shout out, says, how much more does KY need to do to have Tyler Gregory give him props?
If you're looking for someone that was trashing Kevin Young, saying he wasn't the guy, maybe you go to @Tyler Gregory on Twitter.
There's some good golden bookmark tweets. You could probably get a little on that.
Let's move on.
I'll tell you what, we watched that game with Tyler Gregory. He still wasn't happy most of the time. Moose is saying, I see one of you suffers from the same inability to draw in a straight line as I do.
That's me, brother. I can't draw. I don't know how long this took.
Good.
It looks good enough. I didn't want. The problem would be if it looked good. If it looked too good, people would have been like, "Okay, your wife clearly did that," or "Hey, you got that printed out," or whatever. I needed it to look authentic. It looks very authentic.
This is a men's bracket.
Yeah,
like, this is homemade. You can tell. Nolan Mickelson says the difference. Of course, talking about Jagor Devin shutting down all the Jagor haters today. Absolutely.
His draft stock got solidified today.
And everyone was watching. Like this was the game everyone was going to watch. BYU Guy 32 says, what feels better? The bowl win against Colorado or this basketball win?
This win. 1,000% this win. And I think that's actually a great question, so shout out. But this win, because at the end of the day, yes, bowl wins are great. Beating, Shedeur Sanders in his last college football game, Deion Sanders, and the whole Colorado brand probably, it feels great, whatever. But this is huge. This is program defining. I know that game was big for the football program, but it's not onto the magnitude of winning and getting this monkey off your back in this spot. Like BYU's won decent bowl games and whatever, in the past. It's been so long since BYU has just been to this point. And now the thing I love about going into Saturday, I know I'm getting a little off topic here, is that BYU's really playing with no pressure now. It's all house money. There's no pressure going into this game. All the pressure's on Wisconsin. BYU's going to have a home court advantage in the altitude. Wisconsin's played what? It's going to be 4 games at this point in a matter of a week.
Yeah. BYU's got life. Don't settle here. If you're a BYU fan, don't settle. I think it's a good question. I absolutely agree with you. The Colorado win was awesome, like smoking the Buffs and Deion and all that stuff. But I'm not to diminish anything that they did. The Alma Bowl's cool. You get a trophy, all that. That doesn't mean anything.
Let me compare this, though. What if they won the Big 12 title in football?
Oh, the Big 12 title in football would have been bigger because that means playoff. That means bigger things.
Sweet 16 or a Big 12 title in football?
Big 12 title in football. You got to go to the playoff. You got to go to the college football playoff.
One playoff win or a Final Four? For me, Final Four.
For me personally, Final Four, because I'm just a hoops guy. But I think for the program and BYU and what most people would say is if we have a football playoff win.
I think I'd still lean Final Four, but I think you might be right.
Final Four.
Final Four is a big
one of
deal.
Those things is still alive, Carter. that's the other part.
Let's not get too dangerous. We put that clip out there, and people are like, it was like right before the Houston game. We put that clip. The comments are ruthless on TikTok right now.
Oh, they are. But hey. Staff level only says this looked like a Coswell versus Colfax church ball game. BYU was just bigger, faster, stronger.
Oh my gosh, Chase, you butchered that.
Did I?
Caswell versus Colfax.
Did I not? I mean, that's not that decent.
Coswell versus Colfax.
Is that not the same thing?
That's exactly what Caswell versus Colfax.
Oh my gosh, dude, you're saying the same words.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Where are
shout out my guy. He was listening. He's gonna know what he's gonna know. People from North Carolina are gonna know. That's North Carolina
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a church ball rivalry like a decade ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. But that's good to know, and that's a great comment. It's true. Bigger, faster, stronger. BYU.
Yeah.
Power 5 hoops.
Caswell's like the country. Like it's out there.
Is it?
Yeah. It's kind of cool though.
Why do they call it Caswell? Also, that's pronounced Colfax.
No, it's Colfax.
Well, it should be pronounced Colfax. Spelled with an O. All right. Samar LaRopa says, responding to BYU guy 32, his excellent question says, definitely this one, meaning the basketball win over the football win. Football has actually had some postseason success since 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Tater Coug, shout out Tater Coug, changed his name. Did you guys know that Richie Saunders' great-grandfather actually invented the tater tot?
Really?
Yeah. I saw it
you just told me. I just found out from you.
Yeah, no, I had to do research to figure that out. It's actually
I didn't hear 17,000 times on the broadcast.
Here's my thing about the tater tot thing. All right, he has this deal with Ora Ida and all this stuff. Did all these tater tot companies steal his idea? Like how we're supposed to be like all for tater tots now? It's a stolen product.
I don't know.
Saunders' great-grandfather came up with it. It's his. I don't think they're getting any money for every tater tot sold.
You know when like you talk to someone and they're not like super into the internet and you tell them about the Costco guys and they're like, who are the Costco guys? What are you talking about? The more people dive into this Richie store, I just haven't stepped into it yet.
You haven't?
Like whether like royalties, whatever, any of that. I'm just out. Like
that's fine with me. I don't think there's much to it. It's just he invented the tater tot. That's really cool. Tater tots.
Yeah.
Anyway, everyone's taking it and running with it. So anyway, Tater Coug says did a great job keeping them off the offensive glass until the last 3 minutes. Yeah, the last 3 minutes of garbage time, and they were hitting threes. And
they were nailing threes in the garbage time.
Threes, dude. They hit like 11 or 12 threes in the second half. I was like, most of their points.
It was crazy. I was like, are you kidding me?
The fact that they were able to do that and BYU still won very comfortably is an insanely good sign.
Yeah.
And he also said, Tater Coug, he said, rebounding and paint defense were huge today, and I couldn't agree more. And that's a big credit to both bigs. Huge credit to KB.
Before you move on, I do want to give a quick shout out. Shout out our guy, Jack Carpenter. I know he gets shout out on here all the time. But if you saw any of the videos on our Church Ball Twitter account, those were from Jack Carpenter. So shout out the GOAT for hooking us up with his videos and everything. He's in Denver, boots on the ground. I hope I'm assuming he's going to stay there till Saturday at least. So
he did say, and he's in the chat card, he says, reporting from Denver, whole lot of blue, whole lot of red. Saturday is going to be awesome.
Cannot wait. I cannot wait. And shout out Jack and Jack's boots on the ground for us. Now, if BYU does win, I think I got to book a trip to Newark.
I think we both got to book a trip to Newark.
Yeah.
I think we owe it to the people, to this team.
I know.
To the program.
It is my wife's birthday next Friday.
Oh,
I know.
Oh, baby. And you're already spending this whole weekend.
Yeah. Not great. But hopefully, I mean, nothing screams like a beautiful birthday than the streets of Newark, New Jersey.
That's true. That's true. We were there not too long ago.
We'll go into the city. I'll take her out to a nice dinner if we go.
All right, BYU guy 32 says, I know you are journalists. He put it in quotations.
Well, we are. Well, yeah. What are you talking about?
How dare you?
We went to school for that, sir. We have degrees. My degree is right behind this camera right now. I can get it out, but I don't feel like it. We are capital J, big J journalists, unbiased members of the media. Completely objective.
We would never insert our opinion into anything.
Imagine. That's like saying Fox News or MSNBC is biased.
Keep fans out of the news, out of the media.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Crazy talk.
Anyway, he says, I know you are journalists, but you could at least wear some BYU gear. Come on, guys.
We probably could have because we're
journalists.
We're
professionals.
Well, we're also brainwashed because if you are credentialed or whatever, like whenever you have to go do this stuff or whatever, you're not supposed to wear BYU gear, BYU colors and stuff like that. Yeah. And so whenever we go on camera for stuff like this, I think it's just brainwashed into us like, hey, don't wear BYU gear. Don't wear BYU gear. I don't have a lot of BYU gear anymore, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't have a ton. I definitely could.
I mean, if BYU's listening to this or someone on the team is listening to this, by all means send free gear.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not a team issue person, if you run one of those sweet, streetwear things, we're all for sponsors. We will wear your stuff. We'll shout you out. Stepping away from our super professional journalism, though, I'm really happy with this win. This was a lot of fun.
This was awesome. It was awesome, and it's just I know we talk about it all the time on this show. The ups and downs of this season. Chase, we were just right down the hall, laying on my couch after the Utah game, being like, what the crap, man? Like, how did this season go this poorly? To this point now, imagine telling yourself sitting on that couch that night, it's like, by the way, you're going to be doing a podcast here later in March after BYU wins a first-round game with a chance to go to the Sweet 16 on Saturday. That's crazy.
It's
This
one of the biggest turnarounds in college basketball.
Like, this offense had so many problems in the first part of the season where it was ISO and it was just slow and it was just herky-jerky. There was no rhythm to anything. And it's just a complete 180. Everything has been figured out. It is so smooth. Everybody plays their role beautifully. Everybody buys in perfectly. It's awesome. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely. And I mean, you can shout out a lot of people, everyone in that program. It took guts.
Literally top to bottom.
They said they were showing a little clip before the game about what Kevin Young wrote on the board after the TCU game. It was a big deal. And I actually hadn't heard about this, but he wrote find solutions. If you watch the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you watch pregame, from that TCU game, that stretch in there was so rough. And then it was that second half of that Colorado game where all of a sudden things are like, this is going to have to change and it has to do it right now. And my gosh, it did.
I know Kevin said that the UCF game was the turning point of the season. I still believe it's that end of the first half going into halftime of Colorado, because we had not seen that BYU team play all season up until that point right there. And you saw the tempo and the unselfishness they were playing with, and you go, oh, what is this? Like, that's it. Just bottle that up and keep going. And they did it. Look where we are.
Yeah, they did.
Well,
it's
look where the BYU Cougars are. Not we.
Us. All right, we're back to the super room.
Oh, gosh.
Shout out Grant Farley.
Shout out Grant.
He says this team can win in so many different ways. BYU is doing the punking. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was my big argument going into this game. That's why I felt so confident about BYU in this spot, because, look, when the national media thinks of BYU, let's be honest, they just think a bunch of soft Mormon white guys. That's what they think of, and that's just not this team. Everybody on this team is not going to get punked like that, and that's what was so awesome about this game. And VCU is a physical team. They're not. We talked about it before. They weren't West Virginia, Cincinnati. Yeah, but they weren't West Virginia, Cincinnati, muck it up, slow it down as much, because they can shoot the ball and they can get out a little bit. But that level of physicality from A10 basketball to Big 12 made a huge difference in this game. And
you can see it on the court.
VCU's only played 2 tournament teams this year, and they went 1-1 against New Mexico and Colorado State, who Colorado State barely made this tournament.
Yeah, like you said, it was palpable on the court. You could just see, you're like, this is a genuine shift in physicality.
Yeah.
These guys look bigger. They play bigger. It was obvious. Nathan, shout out Nathan Hot Take, says, can we get a live bracket update on the wall?
Live bracket update on the wall. I don't have the score of the Georgia-Gonzaga game. I'm assuming that Gonzaga is absolutely mollywopping Georgia still. So I can update this right now. Do we got anything over there?
I think no one's played in the West so far.
We might need a score update on that. What if Georgia came back?
I mean, I'd be shocked, right?
McNeese.
That's right, McNeese. Yeah, those will have played, and then we'll get some of these games.
Yeah, we'll get this filled in. Yeah, I think we're good. And nothing on the bottom left, right?
No West teams played. There'll be some games tonight. Obviously, that Kansas-Arkansas game.
Cannot wait for that one. That one starts soon, actually.
Yeah.
Michigan State.
Games.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
This is all updated, so shout out Nathan. Moose says, what advantage does Wisconsin have on us? BYU. I'll go first. I think Wisconsin, watching them play Montana, Wisconsin likes to pull out their the big plays from the three-point line a lot. And BYU's advantage with Kaba is that he gets to kind of just chill in the paint and play the Rudy Gobert-esque, I'm just going to block and alter every shot. And here, where he might be forced to play a little bit outside of that comfort zone, and Wisconsin's going to try and stretch BYU's defense out offensively. I mean, that their center can even hit threes, so you have to be covering him.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that Wisconsin has as well that's going for them especially is that BYU against dynamic guards can get struggled. Dynamic guards have burned them. Obviously, example A is Jizzle James, at Cincinnati, dominating BYU in that game. I mean, even LJ Cryer against us. And John Tonji's no joke. He's so good. And so that's going to be a problem, but Moet Mag's going to be matched up on him. I think that's probably going to be Tonji's hardest matchup he's gone against all season long. Even in the Big Ten, that's how good of a defender I think Moet Mag is. And so it's going to be a really good matchup, man. We'll get into a little bit later on. I wish I could have watched a little bit more Wisconsin film going into this show, but
we were focused on VCU. We just
we
didn't
watched
want to look ahead.
We watched the entire Wisconsin game and everything, but it's Montana, so it doesn't tell you as much. And I've watched a good amount of Wisconsin this year, but I like diving into the full games and really finding out, okay, this is where their weaknesses are, watching the wins and losses in full. So then you can figure out, okay, this is what you need to look for.
Yeah. We'll get a little deep diver tonight and tomorrow and before that game Saturday. Nolan Mickelson says, if any of you are going to Newark, I think he's talking to the chat as a whole, I can give you some good food recommendations. I lived in Jersey for 4.5 years.
Send it my way. Send it to the church ball DMs.
Yeah, send it. We'd love to have it. And he's living in San Antonio right now. So he's got all these locations.
Flight's already booked to San Antonio.
Our guy Colson, who also is BYU uniform tracker, makes awesome unis after every game. Actually can't wait to see what he comes up with. Says, who's pulling up to Denver on Saturday with me? I think he's talking to the chat. Because he is out there, I saw on Twitter. So man, a lot of BYU fans. If you went to the game, let us know in the chat. We want to hear your experience, what you thought it was like, the environment stuff. Being there for that win must have been pretty sweet.
It must have been awesome. And and then playing on Saturday, not a bad drive from Utah. Hopefully it's good weather on the drive and everything. Quick flight if you're going down there. We unfortunately will not be there this weekend. If they make the Sweet 16, good chance I'll be there next week. Good chance.
Ethan Holiday says Max Shulga got put in the Mag security prison. Well, he really did.
And also, like, Shulga made some tough shots today. Like, we were talking about this during the game. Dudes were making tough shots on Moet Mag. I thought his defense was great. Dudes were just knocking him down. VCU hit a ton of threes. I need to get the exact stats on this.
Yeah, Shulga, you look like he has those threes in the second half. He didn't score, I think, other than from the 3-point line.
Yeah, he went 4 of 10 from the 3-point line, and he only shot threes in this game. VCU went 15 of 38 from 3, 39.5% from 3. They hit 15 threes in this game.
That's an amazing night for them, by the way.
If you would have gone into this game and said VCU's going to knock down 15 threes and shoot almost 40%, I probably wouldn't have said BYU wins comfortably.
Yeah, I would have been nervous.
I think BYU could still win. I don't think that's like unstoppable or anything, but I mean, it was a comfortable win. Let's be honest.
Yeah. And it just, like, to the Shulga point too, not a single shot he took from inside 3-point line just shows that interior defense and the dominance there. Moose says KY trimmed his rotation today. Bosco was a DNP, not needed because Kaba and Foose were dominant, and Cannon played only 4 minutes.
Yeah, Cannon you could just tell it was rusty coming off that injury and whatnot. Yeah. And that's a tough spot coming in as a freshman. You've been injured. You have no rhythm. And when he came in too, it was really intense, tight game, no room for errors or anything. And so I think he got put in a little bit of a tough spot in this game, but doesn't mean he can't come into this Wisconsin game and all of a sudden you're talking, 6 for 6 from 3. What the crap's going on here? Because that's what we were talking about before the Arizona game. Everyone's like, his body language, what's going on with Cannon? I'm like, look, things can change very fast in college basketball right now. And I mean, look at a team like, never mind. That's not a good enough example. I'll move on. But, we were talking about like Cannon's body language and everything going bad and everything going south with him and whatnot. And then he comes out in the Arizona game and plays phenomenal.
Yeah, it was just good. I know, like, he probably still is, like, coming out, and like you said, giving the rhythm. It was good to see him on the floor.
Yeah, for sure.
We missed him in the uniform, playing hoops. E-Dub says, can we appreciate TTUN? What does that stand for? TTUN. Can we appreciate TTUN for Kaba one more time? Sorry, E-Dub. That's on me. I don't know what that means.
Let me read it?
Yeah, sure.
Let me read it. I'm reading the chat right now. What up,
I
fellas?
think it's the something. It's an acronym.
Is it a Utah thing?
I have no idea.
Who are we talking about? E-Dub?
E-Dub. Third.
Can we appreciate TTUN for one more time? Dude?
Something about, I don't know what the acronym means, E-Dub. I'm sorry.
That team up north.
Oh.
And I didn't come up with that. Alex Beach saved me in the chat, so it makes me look good. I'll read a chat real quick.
Yeah,
Alex also said, side note, the announcer's pronunciation of Traore was annoying. I didn't hear it.
He kept saying Traore.
Oh.
It was Nessler, though, so I don't care. I love his voice.
Yeah, it was kind of loud in the dojo, so I couldn't hear the announcers too well.
Couldn't catch everything all the time. But to Edub's point, can we appreciate the team up north for Cabo one more time? Dude devours shots.
Yeah, I'm man enough to say this. Thank you, Utah.
Thank you very much. We will continue to enjoy him hopefully next year as well, and the things that he does for this team. It's so fun to watch. And Alex saved us, and Edub was nice to let us take a minute there to figure that out. We're not super into the BYU and Utah slang. I think what do they call, what is it, TDS or TDDS? That's what Utah says. Team down south. The team down south.
It's not a good acronym.
The team up north. I mean, yeah, I don't like it either, but it is what it is. What acronym I care about right now is BYU. And what a freaking game for the Cougs. I mean, I hope you all are enjoying this as much as we are, because you are a big part of March Madness. They're actually a big topic of conversation. A lot of people pick them to go far. Like experts, guys who do this for a living, had a lot of good things to say about BYU. Tater Tots have made Richie Saunders famous, and they're winning freaking games, and they're good doing it, and they look dangerous, and people are recognizing this BYU team's legit. I'm excited to see some of the scuttlebutt around this BYU Wisconsin game, what some of the people are putting their money on, what people like, because I think people are feeling pretty impressed with BYU right now.
It's already down to some books have BYU favored already.
Really? People jumping on the Cougs early.
Yeah, some books have BYU favored right now.
Wow.
That's crazy. That moved fast. Over under 154.5. Either way, whatever, like going into Saturday, whatever happens in this game, look, wins, loss, whatever, it is going to be an offensive, very aesthetically pleasing offensive game. That's what I was trying to say. I was having a stroke, but there's going to be a ton of points scored in this game. The tempo is going to be fantastic, a ton of threes, and it's just going to be up and down basketball. And going into that game, I think that really favors BYU, because I understand Wisconsin's, been in Denver, they're getting more acclimated to the altitude and whatnot. But with BYU's depth and the rest advantage they have on top of that as well, that bodes well for BYU if they get into an up and down game like that.
Absolutely. I think you kind of saw that today. Like, they were just quicker than VCU, and VCU was looking a little gassed and all that. So BYU is in a great position.
Another thing I want to say on today, and I think Grant brought this up if I remember correctly from the chat, it's just nice to watch. And last year's team was great, don't get me wrong and whatnot, but it is nice to watch a BYU team where they don't solely rely on the three ball. And if their shot's not falling that game, then it is a 100% chance they lose that game. Yep. And in this game, look, BYU didn't shoot remarkably well from three. I think they were efficient. Let me get the right number here. They were 35%, only made 7 of them in this game. Not
only taking,
20
is pretty crazy. They average over 32.
The best stat in this game, in my opinion, is BYU shooting 28 free throws in this game. Because that showed they were aggressive, they were driving to the basket, and they weren't settling as much. And look, early on in this game, they kind of needed to. Jagor settling for those threes really gave them a boost in the beginning, and gave especially him that confidence boost. Could be huge going into a potential special March Madness run.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just a great game for BYU to respond also to VCU's runs, because there was a moment, right? They cut it to 10. And VCU was red hot from three in that second half.
They were.
But BYU didn't panic, and it was all right, well, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, staying aggressive, get to the line. They also shot pretty well from the free throw line, and we've been saying it all season, Karter. That's what wins in March. Got to make your free throws. 67% actually isn't that great. Most of that was from KPK, though.
Yeah, but that's fine, though. It was from him getting rebounds, and then they foul him on the offensive rebound a lot of the time, or on those lobs from Jagor and stuff like that. And look, Kaba is not great from the free throw line. That's going to happen. I am worried eventually about a hack of Kada eventually. That is inevitable, but we'll face that when it comes. But the fact is, they shot 28 free throws. You don't shoot 28 free throws in a game, even with the softest officials, unless you're being aggressive and keeping the defense on their toes and forcing them into tough situations.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Our guy Nolan Mickelson said, "Who was your player of the game?"
Jagor Demon.
Jagor Demon. Give a quick shout out to both of us. We were on top of that in the preview.
I think I said Dallin more so than Jagor, I believe, but
you did. You probably were saying that because I got to go first, and I picked Jagor. He was awesome tonight, and I think just him being aggressive set the tone. He may not have like the better stats than anyone. It was more of his calmness, his leadership, his example that he set, being aggressive, that I think led to everyone else having great games.
And on top of that, Bakeda, obviously, I mean, he's gotten to a point where Richie is, where it's almost a mainstay MVP of a game, where you can go any single game BYU plays in now that they win, you can just say, yeah, Richie or Kaba, you could probably call MVP in those spots. But I think Jagor, shout out Nolan, was actually the difference in this game, his scoring. And like I said, when he's a threat from outside of 10 feet, it is so difficult to guard him, man.
It's impossible. That up and under fake to fade away, little like 9-foot jumper was like, if he can unlock that and keep doing stuff like that, he could be one of those guys that you rely on heavily offensively. But the great thing about this team is you don't need to rely on anyone heavily offensively. It's so well balanced.
I know the game all kind of blended in. What was the play of the game? Because I have mine if you want me to go.
That's tough. I mean, there's a lot.
And I'm gonna get the times and scores mixed up probably, but I think it was BYU was up 10. VCU had made a little bit of a comeback, like a little 6-0 run, 4-0 run kind of deal, and BYU just missed a terrible shot, and then Kaba got that rebound and got the and one finish on that offensive rebound. I thought that was at that point in that game, I go, okay, I think BYU wins this one.
Really good point. Yeah, they needed a bucket there. Trevin airballs a 3. And
that's what it was.
And Kaba gets that put back. I think another one super similar. I think it was around the same time, maybe right after that, or maybe even before. Richie being aggressive, getting that and one layup. And it just, again, like personified this game and this team and how aggressive they were. And then obviously being able to get 3 points out of that possession was huge to hold off a VCU little charge there. So Nolan says, I think the officials called a good game. I think so too. People are heading out. Alex says, got to head out for dinner. Go Cougs beat Wisconsin. And Moose says, got to bounce. Got to cheer on a fellow Big 12 school, Rock Chalk. I think that game just tipped off, Karter.
I think that game tipped off. We'll get out of here very quickly here. Just closing thoughts.
I'm super happy with this team this season. Whatever happens from here on out, it was an awesome season. But I also think there's a ton of potential for this team to do something really special. So don't settle if you're a fan and really enjoy the process, but don't be too sad if it ends. I mean, March is a tough time, and Wisconsin's a really good team. Just so impressed with everyone's response where we were at the beginning of January to now. And this is the moment you're going to look back on and be like, this is where BYU's program changed. This is where KY earned his stripes. This team, this coaching staff took a huge turn, and it's culminated into being a legit team in March Madness. And it's incredible to be a part of it, to be witnessing it, and to see the whole journey has been pretty sweet, pretty fun.
In year one, this is the best season in BYU basketball in over a decade, and he's done it in year one of his coaching career.
More tournament wins than the previous head coach. It only took him one season.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the 6th seed both times.
Yeah. Same playing ground. You got it.
Yeah. But anyhow, closing thoughts from me. Playing with house money at this point, going into this Wisconsin game, like you said, whatever happens at this point. I don't think you can necessarily be too angry either way. Whatever happens in that game, whether BYU wins or loses. But I don't think you should go unnoticed that this team, the sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit.
They're
that good.
Let's say the bracket breaks open for them a little bit. Say Duke falls early for some reason. All of a sudden, the Final Four, I think, is extremely attainable.
Couldn't agree more. They have all the pieces. They're that good of a team. They're that good, Karter.
I would love to go see them in San Antonio.
I'll tell you what.
I
Tell
would.
you what.
I would. Any other chats before we go?
No, that's it. I think everyone's got the same idea. It's about 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So appreciate y'all hopping in.
People are probably on their commutes right now. Anyhow, make sure to follow at Church Ball Pod on everything, at Chase_Roger0, at Karter BA. We will be live after the Wisconsin game. Are we putting out a preview tomorrow?
I don't see a reason not to.
Okay, we'll put out a short preview tomorrow. It'll be like 15, 20-minute podcast of Wisconsin. We'll break down some tape tonight and everything and get that preview out for you tomorrow. Not sure about the time of that one. Maybe we just go live with it. Who knows? Maybe we go a little live before the slate of games.
A little live before some games.
We'll keep you posted.
Like that?
We'll keep you posted. Follow at Church Ball Pod and everything. And also, I'll be live on CarterCast tonight.
Go check out.
Are you hopping on?
Some CarterCast.
Or are you going home? TBD?
TBD.
Okay, TBD.
Chase either way, go check out the
Chase
CarterCast.
might be on tonight, so make sure to come live. Ben will be on as well. At CarterCast on Twitter, we'll be live discussing all the college basketball games from today, the tournament slate and everything, live from right this spot too. So right back here in the dojo.
Will be all updated. It'll look great.